The bank was bustling with activity as customers lined up at the counters, tellers typed away on their keyboards, and security guards stood at their posts. The polished marble floors gleamed under the bright lights, and the air carried the faint scent of coffee from the nearby waiting area. Among the customers stood Lily, a young woman with Down syndrome, gripping a small envelope tightly in her hands. She had been saving for months, putting away small amounts of money whenever she could. Today was a special day. She was finally going to open her own savings account. Lily walked up to the counter where Vanessa, a middle-aged bank teller with a sharp gaze and impatient demeanor, was stationed. Vanessa barely looked up from her computer screen as Lily approached. "Hi, I'd like to open an account, please," Lily said, her voice polite but filled with excitement. Vanessa sighed dramatically, tapping her long, manicured nails against the counter. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked in a tone that suggested she already knew the answer. Lily hesitated. "I didn't know I needed one," she admitted, pulling out her ID and the envelope filled with her savings. "But I have everything right here." Vanessa glanced at the money and let out a quiet chuckle. "Sweetheart," she said condescendingly, "are you sure you know how this works? Maybe you should come back with a guardian or someone who can help you." Lily's smile faltered. "I don't need help," she said, standing firm. "I saved this money myself. I just want to open an account." Vanessa exchanged a glance with a nearby coworker and smirked. "People like you don't usually handle banking on your own," she muttered under her breath, loud enough for Lily to hear. A few customers overheard the exchange, shifting uncomfortably, but no one stepped in. Lily's fingers tightened around her envelope, her confidence beginning to waver. Just then, the glass doors of the bank swung open, and a tall figure in a black suit stepped inside. The sound of his shoes against the polished floor was subtle, but the presence of Keanu Reeves was anything but. He had just walked in for his own banking needs, but the moment he saw Lily's expression, and the dismissive way Vanessa was treating her, he stopped in his tracks. His sharp eyes took in the situation, and within seconds, he knew exactly what was happening. And he wasn't about to let it continue. Lily's fingers trembled as she held onto her envelope of savings, her confidence slipping with each passing second. The humiliation burned in her chest, and the dismissive smirks from Vanessa and her coworker only made it worse. She had worked hard for this moment, yet here she was, being treated like she didn't belong. Just as she was about to turn away, a voice cut through the tension. "Is there a problem here?" The smooth yet firm tone carried authority, and all heads turned toward the entrance. Keanu Reeves, dressed in a sharp black suit with a simple yet elegant demeanor, had stepped forward. His deep brown eyes locked onto Vanessa with quiet intensity. Vanessa, initially caught off guard, quickly recovered and forced a tight-lipped smile. "Oh, Mr. Reeves, what a surprise," she said, suddenly changing her tone. "How can we assist you today?" Keanu ignored her question. Instead, he turned to Lily, his expression softening. "I couldn't help but overhear," he said. "You're here to open an account." Lily nodded hesitantly. "Yes, but she said I needed a guardian," she murmured. Keanu's gaze snapped back to Vanessa, his jaw tightening. "Is that true?" he asked, his voice carrying an edge now. Vanessa fumbled. "Well, I just thought it would be best if she had someone to help her, you know." Keanu didn't let her finish. "She doesn't need anyone's help," he said, his voice calm but unwavering. "She's here with her savings, she has her ID, and she has every right to open an account, just like anyone else." The air grew thick with silence. Customers and bank employees alike were now fully paying attention. Vanessa forced a laugh, trying to regain control of the situation. "Of course, I was just about to help her." Keanu's lips pressed into a thin line. "No, you weren't," he said simply. "But you will now." Vanessa's face flushed, and she swallowed hard. She realized there was no way out. She had no choice but to comply. With shaky hands, she pulled up the necessary forms. Keanu turned back to Lily, offering her an encouraging smile. "Would you like me to stay while you finish this?" he asked. Lily's eyes widened in surprise before a small, grateful smile spread across her face. "Yes," she whispered, and with that, everything changed. Vanessa's hands trembled slightly as she pulled up the necessary documents on her screen. The weight of Keanu Reeves' presence bore down on her like an invisible force. She wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone as influential as him. Lily, still unsure of what was happening, cautiously stepped forward, clutching her envelope of savings. She watched as Vanessa avoided eye contact, now suddenly eager to do her job. "Let's get this done quickly," Vanessa muttered under her breath, her usual arrogance replaced by nervous energy. She typed in Lily's details, her fingers moving stiffly over the keyboard. Keanu stood next to Lily, watching every move. His expression remained calm, but his presence alone was enough to keep Vanessa in check. "So, Lily," Keanu said, turning to her, "how long have you been saving?" Lily smiled shyly. 2 years, she said. "I work at a small bakery. I want to save enough to buy my mom a special gift for her birthday." Keanu's eyes softened. "That's incredible. She must be very proud of you." Vanessa shifted in her seat, guilt creeping into her posture. She had assumed Lily was just another person who didn't belong, someone to brush aside. But hearing her story, watching how Keanu treated her with genuine kindness, made her realize just how wrong she had been. The bank manager, having overheard the commotion, stepped out from his office. His face went pale when he saw Keanu Reeves standing at the counter. "Mr. Reeves, is everything all right?" he asked, glancing nervously at Vanessa. Keanu nodded but didn't look away from Vanessa. "I just wanted to make sure my friend Lily here was treated with the respect she deserves." The manager's gaze darted between them. He could see the tension in the air. Of course. Vanessa, make sure Miss Lily gets the best service possible." Vanessa nodded quickly. "Yes, sir." Lily signed the last document, and Vanessa handed her a receipt. "Your account is now open," she said, her voice quieter than before. Keanu smiled at Lily. "See, that wasn't so hard." Lily beamed. "Thank you, Mr. Reeves." As Keanu turned to leave, he gave Vanessa one last glance. "I hope today was a learning experience." Vanessa nodded, unable to meet his gaze. And with that, Lily walked out, her head held high. Vanessa sat stiffly at her desk, her hands hovering above the keyboard, her heart pounding. The weight of Keanu Reeves' words hung heavy in the air. The entire bank had gone silent, and all eyes were on her. Lily, still standing at the counter, clutched her paperwork with a nervous but hopeful expression. Keanu took a slow step forward, his piercing yet calm gaze locked onto Vanessa. "You know," he said evenly, "the way we treat people says more about us than them." Vanessa swallowed hard. She wanted to defend herself, to claim she had just been following procedure, but deep down, she knew the truth. She had judged Lily before even giving her a chance, dismissing her simply because of her disability. The bank manager shifted uncomfortably before clearing his throat. "Vanessa, maybe you should take a break." But Keanu shook his head. "No, she doesn't need a break. She needs to understand something." His voice softened slightly, but the intensity in his eyes remained. "Do you know who Lily reminds me of?" Vanessa blinked, unsure of where this was going. "She reminds me of my sister," Keanu continued, his voice filled with emotion. "My sister had special needs. And I watched how the world treated her. I saw the way people dismissed her, talked down to her, assumed she was less than them." He paused, letting the words sink in. "But let me tell you something. She was one of the strongest, kindest, and smartest people I've ever known." Vanessa's face paled slightly. She felt exposed, ashamed. Keanu continued, "People like Lily don't need pity. They don't need to be humiliated. They just need respect, just like anyone else." A deep silence filled the bank. Lily looked up at Keanu with admiration, while the other employees glanced at each other, processing what had just been said. Finally, Vanessa exhaled and nodded slowly. I understand," she murmured. Keanu studied her for a moment before nodding. "Good," he said, "because the world needs more kindness. And it starts with moments like this." For the first time, Vanessa looked at Lily, not as someone different, but as someone equal. The heavy silence in the bank finally lifted as Vanessa took a deep breath, her expression shifting from embarrassment to genuine reflection. She looked at Lily, who was still clutching her paperwork, uncertain of what would happen next. Keanu Reeves, still standing beside Lily, softened his gaze. "The world doesn't need more people who look down on others," he said gently but firmly. "It needs people who lift each other up." Vanessa swallowed hard, then turned toward Lily. I'm so sorry, she said, her voice cracking slightly. I shouldn't have treated you like that. Lily blinked in surprise. She had been used to being dismissed, but an apology. That was rare. A small, hesitant smile formed on her lips. Vanessa took a deep breath and squared her shoulders. Let me fix this. She reached for Lily's paperwork and, instead of brushing her off, she carefully reviewed it. Your application is in perfect order, she admitted. There was no reason to deny it. I'll process it right away. The bank employees, who had been silent spectators, exchanged glances. Some of them looked guilty, realizing they had been complicit by staying quiet. The manager stepped forward, clearing his throat. Lily, on behalf of the bank, I'd like to sincerely apologize for how you were treated. Lily's eyes widened. It's okay, she said softly, still processing everything. Keanu smiled. No, Lily, it's not okay. But today, maybe we made a small step toward change. As Vanessa completed the process, she handed Lily a confirmation slip. Your account is now fully set up, she said, this time with warmth. And if you ever need assistance, I'd be happy to help. Lily beamed. Thank you, she whispered. Keanu looked at Vanessa, nodding in approval. Growth is never easy, he said, but it's always worth it. Vanessa nodded, feeling a newfound respect for Lily, and for herself. As Keanu and Lily walked toward the exit, the entire bank watched in silence. Something had changed that day. It wasn't just about an account. It was about humanity, about dignity, about seeing people for who they truly were. And as Lily stepped into the sunlight, holding her confirmation slip tightly, she felt something she hadn't in a long time: true, undeniable respect.